I don't know if that's any better, but.
Testing.
We always used to say that.
Right.
And then he was pretty touchy about that.
Cement ingredient for concrete. Cement, sand, rock, whatever, then makes concrete.
Well, you learn something.
Now? All right, now. This is Bill Canada, Custer County Commissioner, Board of Commissioners, and is in session now, Wednesday, July 7th, 2021 at 9:00 in the morning. I'm going to do a quick reminder, silence phones, if you got them, turn them off. Tina, please remind me to turn mine back on. This is being recorded both by Zoom and by the clerk. And with that, I would like to stand and say the pledge. I'll lead you all. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. The birds are even joining. If you listen closely, you can hear them. Okay, let's see. We've got that out of the way. Kelly, roll call.
Commissioner Kanda.
Here.
Commissioner Flower.
Present.
Commissioner Day.
Here.
Attorney Clint Smith is not present, and clerk to the board, Kelly Kemp, present.
Okay, good. Thanks. Audience introduction. Gosh, let's start with the airport board.
Lynn Legree, Airport.
Bob McDonald, Airport.
Back behind you.
Dallas Anderson, rural Custer County.
Citizen extraordinaire.
Thank you.
Susan Hinshaw, newbie.
Newbie just checking in.
What's your last name?
Hinshaw, Hinshaw. I'm new to the county.
Day, Matt Moore, citizen.
Bob Hollingsworth, rural Custer County.
Reggie Foster, PIO. Tina Jones, administrative assistant.
Okay, that's everybody in the room, and I don't think anybody in the hallways for this meeting right now. And if there is somebody online, how many we got online? I didn't even know.
It's all internal.
Okay. All right, so that's the audience. Amend agenda. Any things to amend, Tom, on your side?
No, sir.
Got
None here.
none from me.
Let's take that off.
Oh, no, that was getting after. Approval of minutes. We don't have any of this. Commissioner items. Kevin.
None since yesterday, sir.
Right. Tom.
Yes, sir. I reached out to Brian, the manager at the landfill. They have 3 vehicles they would like to dispose of: a 1990 Chevrolet pickup, 1998 Chevrolet Trailblazer, and a 1974 trash truck. I've asked him to provide the mileage, general description of the condition, and I would assume we'll include those then on the vehicle notice of the
Sale.
vehicle down to.
I think that would work good.
I did go out to Lake DeReese yesterday afternoon. I'm surprised the only sign that has anything to do with the algae bloom was ours. Parks and Wildlife haven't done anything, so not that I can see.
They had some posted, but they were small. They gone?
I have no idea. I did not see any, is all I'm saying. So I was surprised about that. And then I also see he had a request for some funds, American Rescue Plan funds from Valley Assisted Living. So I would recommend that we move forward and get that process started.
Yeah, we were waiting to have it settle down. I think Kevin got.
I think we need to get something in place. I mean, we don't have to spend everything bang, bang, but I think we have a request from the sheriff's office as well. So I think we need to get something in place here to get moving on that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to set the stage for, oh my God, it's first come, first served as commissioners, but
No, but we ought to set the stage for people to start applying.
we need to get a process in place so we start considering some of these requests.
Yeah, and we had that sample somebody sent us. suggested outline of things. Didn't we? Did you see that?
I believe so,
Did you
yeah.
see that?
Was it the packet that Kevin gave?
No, it was part of them.
It was an outside agency.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then here's how the process ought to go. You got time to do it. All right, so you're gonna set up a workshop, maybe?
I think we need to, yes. When would work for?
Yeah, I don't think we can wait a whole lot longer before we get, and there's nothing to say that initially we couldn't make some decisions.
No,
Or we got a workshop or a meeting to do that.
so one of them's on our agenda today, as a matter of fact, from the sheriff's office.
It is?
That's
Yes,
just a
it is.
budget
I think
request.
that's something different.
No, I looked at his accompanying documents. That's what it's for.
It is?
It is in regards to overtime hours and things of that nature
Oh,
due
yeah.
to COVID.
Yeah, that's,
I'm out of town on Thursday, got a board meeting, so
I think we ought to wait till after the rodeo is over. And, which is this week. To get through. The following meeting. Right after our Wetmore meeting. Stick around in Wetmore and discuss it.
yeah, or come back up here.
We're up here.
Probably better up here on the 14th. That's not after the rodeo, but
No, that's not, that's the front end of it.
I don't, that's not gonna interfere with me, the rodeo
It will interfere with me. I just realized that.
on the 14th.
In the afternoon. So let's do it following week. 19th through the 20 something. Brothers, how about Tuesday?
Tuesday, 20th.
20th.
9 o'clock.
That'd be fun.
Is that gonna be a workshop?
The process going.
I'm available then, so we'll do that.
That'll get us, if there's stuff to consider, we can do it on the end of the month.
Oh, you know what?
Ooh,
I've got a dentist appointment that day. Not sure what time it is.
I'll do it Monday.
Yeah, I prefer doing it.
Okay.
It used to be we had to pull phones out of our pockets, but
Monday, the 19th at 9 a.m.
yes,
You putting words in our mouth?
I'm just asking.
Putting it on paper.
July 19.
That work?
At what time did you want?
9.
At 9.
9 a.m.
Good deal.
That be here?
Harper.
Discussion of
Guidance.
BOCC funding process.
ARPA.
Funding process.
Get that discussion of ARP funding process.
In fact, we're gonna look at a committee or we'll set up whatever process people are involved to make the right selection. Recommendation. All right, anything else?
No.
Okay, the only other commissioner item that I would have. We did discuss allowing the school to use our website. I don't think we decided to actually make it happen. Did we do that? Reggie, did you pick up the reaction to put the school's request on in our system and all?
No, so I haven't, we have not added it to our webpage.
I don't, it's just my personal opinion. It's not, and Clint brought this up yesterday. It's not involved in transfer of funds or anything. It's not a requirement to vote on it. I think by acclamation, agree that it's a good thing to do. And just for the public's information, it was a request to let the public know that the school is open as normal and to get your kids back into school. And make sure in the past, and that sort of drove a lot of people to homeschooling a lot of their kids. And they want to let them know that it's now available as a normal school. Pretty good little ad. I think it's okay. What do you think, Tom?
Well, I'm not going to oppose it. I'm not as thrilled about it, I don't think, as you are, but I'd like to see that school think this door swings both ways. We asked them for some help and they wanted to charge the daylights out of us. It wouldn't be any different for us saying, yeah, we'd do it, but it's going to cost you a couple $100. I wouldn't do that, but we'd darn sure be within our right. As I see a lot in this community, people are getting more and more greedy and it irritates me, so.
Okay.
I won't oppose it, but
Kevin, what do you think?
I think it'd be a good community service to go ahead and do, regardless of the circumstances, I guess I would say.
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
All right. So I'll send you that email and you can work with Mike and figure out what
Yeah.
get it on the website, our websites and we probably need maybe a letter of support in the paper, or whatever you guys think is appropriate. Whatever they're requesting. One getting hoarse today. All right. Hey, Tina, keep me voice wise. If I get out of whack here, let me know. Okay, that's the only commissioner item I have. So that brings us to the attorney who is absent. And so that's okay. He did let us know in time for that. So administrative item.
I have no items today.
I have one thing, Bill.
Go ahead.
So August 4th on your guys' schedule is the Board of Equalization. And we actually have one to hear. So I guess my question is, do you want that to be a part of your normal meeting? You'll recess and go into Board of Equalization here, have a hearing, then
That would be
come back in.
my brothers. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, that's what we've done in the past, is just recess, go into BOE and then reconvene the commissioner meeting. It's going to be a long drawn out thing, which we never know. We could do it later, but I would support doing it during the meeting. Put it at the end of the agenda.
JD said that, because I asked him about scheduling this gentleman and he said, usually in the past, they schedule like 30 minutes. So do you want to put that on the
I prefer it
top of the,
at the
No,
end.
at the end.
end?
End of the meeting.
Okay,
That way, if it drags on, it's not letting everybody else drag through it. They don't need it. Or wait, or come back.
We would have a Board of Health meeting that afternoon.
But we can do it. Oh, that's from the.
No, sorry, that's on Tuesday, the Board of Health.
no, it's open.
Yeah. That should work.
Board of Equalization.
Okay.
And you're talking about Wednesday the 4th, not Tuesday, so we still have Board of Health, shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, JD didn't think it would last very long and so far, this is the only one I've got. So.
Okay. That'll work.
So we'll put that on the last thing on the agenda, our agreement.
All right, public comment. This is the top of the meeting. Is there anybody here that has something they wanted to bring up for consideration at a later date, or an issue, or just a statement? You can sure make it right now. I don't think anybody, I haven't dialed in. We got anybody online now?
All internal.
Okay. All right, hearing none, let's press on. Oh boy, highlight of the day. Let's see what the airport's got to say. Bob?
We got nothing. All right, so we'll start off with,
And speak as loud as you can, so everybody can hear.
all right, so fuel. We'll start with fuel status for the month of June. Let's see, 1,009 gallons sold. For a total of $4,078.43. That leaves us with 896 gallons in the tank.
How
We
many
ordered,
gallons left? So,
excuse me,
how many gallons left?
896.
8 gallons.
Yeah, so as of 7/1 to today, another 154 gallons, $700, and that leaves us 742. I ordered fuel Friday, and it will be delivered this coming Tuesday. 3,000 gallons. A little more than usual, but because of the trucker strike, we figured it was a good plan. You know,
How much we selling for now?
and
For
$4.59 a gallon. So things are looking good there. CDOT completed the runway inspection 6/24. We haven't got a formal report back.
Yeah, I talked to her after they left. Of course, they came and went like the wind.
Sure,
Right.
they popped in a little early. But things are looking good.
She hadn't answered your email asking if we could start early on. Upgrade.
And that's, yeah, if there was any AWAS money that I would certainly like. Or some
Upgrade for,
Just the maintenance on the runway. It's in their capital improvement plan.
Right.
They're ready to execute it if they have the permission of the state to go and start tapping. Yeah, a new fiscal year now. So we'll see.
Other than that, we're just doing a little cleanup, getting ready for the Air Fest. And on the 14th of August.
Pancakes at 7. Want to see you all there?
14th of August.
yeah, schedule.
Pardon?
It's on the schedule.
I know.
Are we going out to meet? We're not meeting at your place this month at all, but you have a meeting on the Thursday, the
Yeah, the third Thursday.
15th.
15th, right?
And other than that, things are pretty smooth. That's about it.
So if you have bulk fuel left, whenever we do get ready to put in and get the new fuel tank installed, can they pump that off and put it in the new tank? They do that, or do we have to do that?
I believe they do that. I don't know.
It's hard to say. That's an unknown.
Good question. We're probably ought to ask.
Yeah.
Prepare for it.
I don't think they'll do it. Their mission is to build us a tank, drop it off.
I mean, the fuel company.
Right.
Yeah. Then we'll have to work something out. But the fuel tank, we're looking at about 8 weeks out. So if on the trend we're selling fuel now, we should be, we're not gonna have a lot of extra fuel.
Yeah, right. But you have been a little bit, still a lot to pump.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
But anyway, does the truck have potential to pump it back? Or does it just pump it out to reversible?
No, I think they can.
So that's something you can work out then. Hey,
good question.
Also considering, we'll discuss it at our meeting, but we're thinking about pouring the pad and putting the new gas tank in the proximity of where the old one is.
Oh, really?
Oh,
We'll have to talk about that.
Instead of running power and everything out to the new place.
Well, we were talking, part of the reason is if we put it out towards the end of the ramp, the new location, if jet fuel comes in the future, we're gonna hamper, unless we invest crazy money expanding that ramp. So it might make more sense to leave it in the existing and then let the jet fuel
go outside,
Yeah.
do its own thing.
not have it combined.
Yeah.
Plus, if there happened to be a jet on that ramp, got fuel in parked, it might be easier for those smaller planes to use
It could be.
existing fuel.
Problem is, you have to buy another hardware.
Correct.
It's pretty expensive.
Talked about.
So you're gonna talk about it.
Yes.
See what some recommendations. I know we went through it a lot. And
And if we actually put it where Armstrong's got it designed for, we need a lot more concrete and asphalt.
that's all part of it. That's it.
So what we'll do is I'm putting all the drawings together. We'll review them on our meeting. Next time we sit down, I'll bring them in and you guys can review what we're looking at.
Sure.
I think that last card reader was like 19,000 or something. I don't remember the exact actual,
It was. Roughly.
Was it?
We split the cost with
Yeah.
6.
I think our part was 10. If I remember it 10.
Well, maybe we can get a Bluetooth app for it. I don't-
So I would sure balance the cost of concrete. That's, traffic a little bit about the way the pattern was, OT6, and when they're not there, which is quite a bit of time, it's pretty good free flow.
Right.
Then they are still talking about putting a hangar in, so we'll see. Good point to bring up, and then we can get a hold of OT6 and see what they're interested in.
well, if we were to have to move it, we'd be out the cost of the concrete pad.
Right.
We'd have to buy a card reader.
We will draw it up with all the options and see what seems the best.
Okay. Do some more talking. Good.
Okay,
That it?
That's it.
that's all we got. You got anything for us?
Well, I see it looks like the door was constructed for the newest hangar. I got out the other day and checked things out.
Good.
Looks good. Your mower's working all right?
It's going to be up within the next week. We're waiting on a telehandler that can handle 10,000 pounds to lift it. So,
But your tractor and mower is okay for your Airfest? Got it functioning?
Yeah.
it is.
Letter went out to all the hangar owners to try to police their areas a little bit. Whether we get any response from that. But,
Okay.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks for the report.
Easy enough.
Just in time, Brady's here.
I'll call you. Brain. Lay down.
Okay, this is HR Finance. Report. Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
Always.
Sure. Most of the time, I suppose, maybe not.
This morning, right now.
Right now is good. So,
How's the process going today?
things are moving. Had a meeting with Road and Bridge this morning at 7:30, just to talk to all the guys there and help explain how the payroll cycle is shifting, and that was well received, I would say. Good overall. It sounded like Gary kind of buttered him up a little bit before I got in, but
Nobody threw lunch.
yeah, there wasn't. I asked him if I should bring a basket and we could make a salad with the lettuce and tomatoes tossed. But we didn't have to do that. So no salad today.
Good.
So I'll talk. Well, I guess in general, the plan is, as we discussed last week in the workshop, is that we'll be going through and doing a meeting with each department to get a list of what everybody is deciding on. And that's part of a bigger move that I want our office to make, in that every month we'll do a check-in with each department head or representative. I think department head makes the most sense, to be able to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and answering any questions finance wise, make sure they're knowing how to pull budget reports and then any HR type questions that they might have too. So I think that's going to do a good job of controlling traffic in our office, as well as making sure that everybody's getting questions answered efficiently and effectively. It's a lot easier to sit down next to somebody and run through their computer or go through their reports than try to answer a little question on the phone here and there all the time. So that's the plan there. Yep.
Are you going to dive off into the agenda item yet? Or?
Into the agenda item.
I didn't know if you were going to talk about the sheriff's office budget request or not.
I certainly can't.
But
No.
Let's stay with your report.
Okay.
I just wondered what the deal was, because I had a question for you about something else too.
Okay.
Is Barbie basically handling the insurance for the county, or are you tag teaming that, or how's that work?
She's been doing most of it so far. Yeah, there's been a lot of between the airport liability insurance and some other reports that have come in, as well as like vehicle insurance that has come in recently as well. So she's been point on that.
Okay, let me make a quick statement here so the public, for the record, not just for this room. But what we're going through is a transition from an old archaic computer system for our payroll and finance people into a new one, and it's required. Everybody's transitioning. The state is trying to make everybody sort of the same. And we needed to do it regardless. And we had different pay cycles when people were paid for whatever reasons it evolved that way. So what he's been talking about is a transition where we have to move people's salaries and when we pay them so that it's all consistently done. And that takes some time. We did it department by department. And it was a good process. And I really want to thank the HR, our finance side of things, doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing it.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah. Vernon and Barbie have been absolutely awesome and needed in all of that. And yeah, if people have questions, I would definitely refer them to Wednesday's meeting and those minutes or that streaming after the workshop. I think there's a good summary of exactly what's going on
And how it's going to occur. Yeah. So that's available to anybody.
Yeah. So aside from that, so that process is running, and we'll have all of those changes made this month. So if somebody were to decide that they're going to do 6 months, take that hit over 6 months to repay what was double paid there, that'll all start this month for this next pay cycle. So that's the reason for the expediency there, and making sure that that's why we're meeting with them before the 16th, I think is the date we put on that. So that'll be running smooth, and we'll get that set up and it'll be great. Aside from that, I did get a call from the auditor this morning, and they would like to file an extension just because they're not feeling like they have enough time. Normally it would be due by the end of the month. They didn't feel like they'd have enough time to finish up on their side, as well as come up here and present on that. So I have a form here to be signed by the chair, I would assume.
They normally come in July.
I think that's I don't know what traditionally has happened. It sounds like that's what they shoot for. And then when they do run a little late, that they go ahead and file an extension and come the next month, I guess.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about that too. Maybe.
They made it sound like the extension is fairly regularly happening here. So
maybe not with a new system.
Yeah,
but maybe now with
not.
the transition. Maybe.
Yeah, that's the hope. I've talked with them a little bit on just some things I'd like to see changed, and making sure that we're getting all of our information pulled in April. That way, when they come in May or end of May, beginning of June, we're ready to go. Because this year we were a little behind the 8 ball on that one. So yeah, I think there's just a workflow change that needs to happen there. Everything that they need should be done and compiled by every department. There are things that the departments have to do regardless, and those should be done and compiled by the end of February. To kind of finish wrapping up the previous year. So I think March and April, giving everyone 2 months to make sure that's all compiled is more than generous. That way they're ready to go in May. Mm-hmm. So that's the plan, is to make sure that things are moving a little quicker on that side moving forward.
So it looks like the due date is September the 30th of this year for him to submit his audit to the state.
If we sign the extension.
Yeah, and then they want a 60-day extension.
They gets it to the 30th.
Yeah, because otherwise it'd be July, at the end of July.
Yeah.
I would move to authorize our auditor a 60-day extension.
Second.
Okay, and moved and seconded to sign this extension. any discussion besides what we've had so far. I agree. No reason it can't be done. It should be done. All right, all in favor, say aye. Tom?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Canada, aye. Can we assign it now?
If you would, and I'll get it sent right over, back over to her. The last thing that I have is just a bigger discussion conversion wise. We are, one of the things that we're working on, and this kind of piggybacks on the conversation last week in regards to the treasurer's office and the accounts there. One of the issues that is coming up, like I had explained before, is that there was two ledgers before this transition. We're now on the one. Well, part of it's the learning curve of learning the new ledgers on their side. It's new numbers for them, but also just a reorganization and reevaluation of the accounts that we do have, and making sure that we're getting those all straightened out. So part of the issue that the finance side is running into is what used to happen is that the treasurer's office would assign something to, say, a miscellaneous category, and then the finance side would have to try to figure out where that was supposed to go on their books. Well, that's still happening, and it can't anymore now that we're able to do it specifically from the treasurer side to begin with. So all that being said, Vernon's going through right now and looking at what all those look like, building a key, essentially what the key was from the old ledger into the new ledger, and then reorganizing those accounts to make sure that they have access to all of those. And we have a good discussion. I've already talked to Virginia about having a meeting hopefully this week where both offices can sit down and really go through everything, make sure that they understand what's going on and that we can't just keep putting things in the miscellaneous. Because what that's doing practically on our side is we're not able to finish the months. We're not able to finish the numbers and all the financials for each month, because we have to, they send something over, we approve it, and we're not able to approve it until we get it into the right accounts. And so we're back a couple months where for a department to be able to go back and look at a budget for May, they wouldn't be able to pull May's numbers because those aren't all approved yet.
So from what I understand, they're going to push back a little bit because it's a little more work to figure out what kind of pot it fits in. But once they get that set up, it should go pretty quickly.
Yeah,
from here forward.
Yeah, I think the little more work in regards to this is the learning curve of it, but it should become easier than it was even before, because from the get-go, they're putting it in the right account. And so right now, kind of the bandage is they're calling over to our office and asking, hey, where's it supposed to go? Yeah. So we're trying to handle that as best as we can. But that all being said, I think that's stretching Barbie and my capacity a little bit still with all the transition and making sure that CIC is totally up and running, and plus everything else that goes on. I would like to keep Vernon on in helping the finance side for July as well, to be able to really just take this project and finish up with those accounts.
Talk to me.
Yes.
Can you do it?
Vernon, can you do it? Can you do it?
I will do it. Anywhere I can.
Can you do it without any extra salary?
I don't know about that.
Whoops.
There was a wink over here.
You're breaking up.
You're breaking up, but I'm winking.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Can't hear you.
You're still on mute.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, I think that would be a good use of our resources to really get this all cleaned up. I think after this month, that truly to me is a conversion cost to get these accounts straightened up, and to be able to hand that to Vernon and Barbie and I continue to straighten up the other side of things. would be a huge help. So
Okay.
I think ultimately being able to get everything squared around between your office and the treasurer's office.
It's key.
Yeah, that's all of finance.
Yep.
So,
I didn't know if not being here when the original motion took place for Vernon and that whole thing, I didn't know what needed to happen there, but wanted to bring it up.
We didn't have a,
Well, his temporary contract, as it were, ended June 31st, so June 30th. Yeah, I would support that. I mean, like you say, it's tied to this conversion thing, so I would hope it does not drag into August, but because that's an unbudgeted expense.
yeah, it sounds like it'll be less work, quite a bit less work than he's been doing. So keep
Yeah.
accountability here.
It's something like 2,300, 2,500 accounts, line items that we'll have to go through. And so for him to be able to do that, I think bigger picture, I think our office could do it, but bigger picture, if we could get this handled in July, that allows us to start moving into policy revisions by August for sure.
that all
My estimation.
said, we have moved the pay periods. So for July would run July 16th to August 15th, correct? So just a point.
Gotta start it.
Which if we wanted to keep it on a month basis, we would be able to cut a check that way. That's a good point. We have not done that yet for him because this next one would be the one where it would cut.
But the pay period doesn't necessarily have to correspond with the days worked, right? We can still end him at the end of July.
Sure.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
nice
mind
because we
getting
can put
paid
it,
in August, but
so whatever would please you.
I just wanted to make sure we address that.
yeah, I think it would be in order myself.
Mhm, I do.
So,
Got a motion? I'll move that we extend Vernon through the end of July.
second,
Okay, it's been moved second to extend the IT job to include the finance support by Vernon. Any other discussion?
So would that motion continue, also then include Jordan in his role as well then?
two separate issues. I
Yeah, I
think.
don't think that.
I was gonna bring that up in my report next.
Stay out of it.
Okay,
So,
good question, but he'll hit it.
okay,
All right, all in favor, say aye. Kevin?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And aye.
He's
No
been a
more
great help.
whining, that's the
Yeah,
last.
that's it. No, he's been a great help. I definitely, we would not be where we're at without Vernon stepping in and helping out through this whole time.
Great.
Thank
you. By the way, just so everybody knows, Vernon had business expertise, finances in the past. So it's not just the IT that we're taking advantage of. It was a great rounded person to help. So thanks. All right, anything else?
That's all I've got for a report. Any questions I can answer?
Public comment, any questions that, well, not comment, but just a question on it. If it was clear, that's all. Straightening it out. All right, thanks.
Sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming in. man.
Hey, treasurer here.
I don't think so. No,
She said she doesn't.
That's okay. All right, we decided that sort of can slip one way or the other anyway.
Well, she can't compile a report.
That's right, because you can't get to it.
This new CIC thing, they're just not there yet. So,
Okay, Vernon,
Okay.
if you're ready,
Yes, indeed.
morning, sir. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
have you back.
morning.
Good morning, all.
Good to get kind of into a normal flow here.
Yes, good flow is coming back to a new normal. As the, segueing right into it, you mentioned keeping Jordan on, my assistant on for full-time for this next month, and that's what I wanted to propose. And wanted to, and it is two separate issues, but wanted to discuss where your vision for the future was in regards to that position. So I guess if you want to stick to one idea, would you be opposed or not opposed to keeping Jordan on for full time for the next month? We do have money in our budget for that, just barely. We are going to have to talk about an budget amendment for the PIO salary, but there is money for Jordan to be full time for the next month.
And the reason is because you're still.
Because I'll still be working with finance. I'm still doing the directorship position. I'm working extra hours and working on projects and whatnot in the IT world. But I am doing the finance work as well.
Okay, any discussion, Kevin?
I guess before I address the one-all, how is that working for you as far as the extra load as well? I mean, you said you could do it here, but.
Well, it's a challenge, but I am doing it. I'm getting a lot of work done at night. And I even occasionally come in during the weekends. I stay late each day. I'm usually in here by about 7:15 or so. So it's working, and it'll be nice to be done. But I do recognize the need. There's a lot of work. Braden mentioned it. I've whittled down the accounts so far down from 2,800 down to about 2,000 accounts that need to be reconciled. But
quick question on that.
Yes.
Are they accounts or are they separate
Line
checks?
They're line items. Yeah, they're line items.
It should have been in an account that would have categorized maybe 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, as an example, somebody comes in with some money for canine donation. That money drops into a single account. However, revenue line items, all of that money is accounted for in a revenue line item. Before it can be used, then it must be transferred into an expense line item. Now, we used to have multiple steps. We used to have a step where it went from treasurer revenue into a finance revenue line item and then move into it. Yes, it's fun sorting all these out. So remember, so we now have 3 sets of line items that were all combined, or excuse me, three basically columns of line items that were all combined into one. And I've been tearing out what was superfluous and what is redundant and what is multiplied and whatnot. And I'm still ending up with 2,000 line items that have to be reconciled at this point. So to finish that thought, before that money can then be used, it must be moved from those revenue lines into an expense line. And this is Colorado revised statute. This isn't something specific to Custer County. This is how money has to move in a, we've had long discussions with our auditors, and we've cut out things that we've always done because we thought that that's the way it needed to be done, but it wasn't the way it needed to be done. So we've gotten rid of a lot of the red tape that we thought was applicable, required or applicable, but wasn't. So we're whittling all that down. Like I said, we still have about 2,000 line items that have to be reconciled between the two. So it's all just data points. It's just points of data that have to be compiled.
So then the flip side of that coin is then moving ahead where you're going to stay in the position you are for another 30 days. If Jordan was not re-up for another 30 days, what type of situation would that present?
Well, Jordan is pretty busy. Jordan has been very busy on a lot of different projects, and he's not. I mean, his time is used. So that was the next question: is where did the commissioners see that position going in the future?
before you get into that.
Yes.
So you're saying that Jordan's help will be used and Jordan, the way it's been
Yes.
set up, has been able to handle both jobs.
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Well, if we look at a high altitude picture of this, we keep kicking the can down the road mentality, or this is a sign of growing pains. I think it's the latter myself. I think both of these guys are busy. No question about that. We'll be having the same conversation in another 30 days
Not
about
necessarily.
what we're gonna do with assistant IT. We're gonna put them on full-time or half-time.
Yeah, it has to be addressed.
It obviously comes down to, number one, can we afford it overall? And number two, this would be another unbudgeted expense. And if somebody knows where all that money's coming from, share that with me, because I don't.
Yeah.
I don't discount, Vernon, what you're saying, that the need is there, but
As the job exists right now, when I move out of the finance arena back into IT solely, the job can be covered by myself and an assistant at part-time. So if everything is going to stay the same, we're going to return to homeostasis here, then everything can go back to the way it was in February. So, but that's part of this, the other discussion, I think. The first discussion is this month. Respectfully, I think that's.
yeah, you threw me when you said back to normal in February. Why wouldn't it be August?
April or whatever it was, when we started the trend.
He was referring back to before he went to help.
Oh, I thought you said
Finance.
February of 2023.
No.
Just a couple months ago.
That's a long 30 days.
That's a long 30 days, yes.
I don't blame you for trying to pull the wool over our eyes.
No, sir, no, I'm not. No.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, that puts a little salve on the wound, so to speak. But I do think eventually we're going to have this discussion whether we want to or not. But I'll throw it out there because it is. So we brought on Vernon as a finance assistant. Then we had to bring on Jordan as an IT assistant. And then we had a request for more salary for an employee because of CIC. We turned that down. Where did we stop the bleeding? And if I heard you right, you're saying by the end of this 30 days, we should be back to normal. Back to pre-CIC normality, whatever that is.
Yes, sir.
So in my mind, that helps a little. But I guarantee you, we're going to get criticized for it. So just so we know that.
All right, good point. My cut here, just real quick, and then we'll go further. So I see the point. Good point. You're going to continue, and I do believe that Jordan should continue with you, and I think that's fair enough. And then going back to the pre-CIC change, I agree, things have changed, and I like the point you brought up, Tom, of it's a growing pains thing. I think we've changed a little bit. We've grown a bit more because we do have a PIO, and there's been quite a bit of workload from not an IT necessarily, some IT, but more of some of the video support and other things that are required in the new world, which is the second thing that we must address after we go back to normal. Is just going to remain at halftime or not? And that's the point Tom's making here for what we move forward with budget-wise. And we see revenues picking up. I think the county sees that. We got an awful lot of building going on. We got to get, that should continue. We don't know what's going to happen. So we have to be careful
Yes, sir.
and bet on betting on the come, so to speak.
Mhm.
All right, so let's go back to the original request. I believe it's okay. And I would move that we continue with Jordan full-time until the end of July. Okay, we moved and seconded to continue that, and we'll address the issue later. Any other discussion, Tom?
I do have, thank you, sir. As the director of that department, then I believe it's incumbent upon you to make darn sure our employees are doing county work, both
Yes, sir.
PIO and your assistant.
Yes, sir.
I mean, if we get into this situation where we're busy and, well, what are we busy doing? Well, we're busy doing something on the website for the school. Well, that's not county business. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. We already made that decision. I'm using that as an example.
Right.
Or anything else. And I would assume you will make sure that's happening from the IT side.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Tom,
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
And I.
There you go.
Okay, IT, what else?
We're working on new and interesting projects. We've just created a new camera system for over at the jail to kind of bring up the surveillance, the level of surveillance in the jail itself to meet certain standards. We're moving forward on projects. So I don't have a lot to report in it. Outside of that, it's just been pretty normal. As you said, Jordan's been working a lot on the video work and kind of revamping the website, keeping the Justice Center stuff going, that type of thing.
What about phones? And I understand OEM lost the email completely. Get it back.
Yes, well,
What happened?
I'm looking. It's an ongoing thing.
We don't have
Most of the
we haven't got
emails.
somebody hacking in here doing.
No, sir. There was probably an update that came through that kind of changed some profile settings that made things inaccessible, but we're figuring that out and replacing the emails.
Yeah, and I know VSO didn't have a phone. He's using a phone, and we don't have a phone to give him.
We've never had a cell phone for VSO.
Right.
He uses his own cell phone and the office phone.
And you got to explain that he can get reimbursed for using it for county business.
I haven't talked to him about that, but I can if you like.
Yeah. you can do
Okay.
that.
All right.
So you mentioned video. What kind of video work are we doing?
The Justice Center has a lot of video projects that they have asked to be created.
Asked your department to create?
Yes, sir.
Part of the Justice Center marketing, the process of putting it on the ballot, getting
Yes, sir.
information to the public. Is that?
All the videos on YouTube that have been created, interviews, that type of thing, all come from the IT department.
And your budget's funding that, obviously, at least the salaries.
Now, yes.
And the
Presence.
money, they have money they're making available, from what I understand. Is that true or not?
So there's some money in the Justice Center, in the underfunded courthouse grant that would actually require a budget amendment, a resolution, or excuse me, not a resolution, but a vote from you to move that money from that fund into the IT budget if that's on the books.
So they have to pay for it. They have some contractor to do something. So something has to be done.
Right, and if you wanted it to be a contract work, we could write up contracts, but at present it's just been, we've been directed to do certain things, so we do that.
High priority.
Yeah.
To meet the schedule.
And that's something that I wanted to actually talk about was moving funds in that regard from one location into my budget to cover that work that's being done.
That's the options they're going to present us, supposedly, how to get it on the ballot here.
I wasn't aware about the fund transfer.
I don't know if they are.
So let me,
Yes,
if I
sir.
may, let me speak to that. I attempted to make it very clear to that committee, and I will tell you
Yes, sir.
that we're not going to transfer that money
Okay,
to support putting this thing on the ballot because that's against the law.
okay,
I said on that commission in Denver, we cannot use underfunded courts to support a ballot initiative.
Okay.
We can do other things with that money, but we cannot be spending it on video promotions or ads or
and has the committee been informed of that?
more than once.
Okay,
We just cannot use that money
understood.
for supporting a ballot initiative.
That's why it's important, and I'll talk to both Shannon and Ann about how to go about what they need to present so that we get what we need to do to find the money wherever, or what's necessary in order to support that.
Okay, understood. Then for my edification and the edification of the IT department, how do we move forward in the most legal and the most the proper way here? Because the Justice Center Committee can call me up and can call the IT department up and say, do this, with the expectation that we do it at this point in time.
I don't know where that would have come from.
Well,
It's happened many times.
It has. We have to talk about how that process works because the county, either the county is going to sponsor this and get it on, that's costing money. The county has to spend some money to put it on the ballot, period. And so we have to have the Justice Center Committee propose what the plan is so we know what we have to fund.
Okay.
And then that's the steps that we have to take. And that's one of the things that they're taking the time to do from what I understand.
But you've already been doing this, right? They've already been wanting you to do stuff regardless
So
of the
that's
money
stuff.
And I bring this up twofold. First of all, to figure out a proper way forward, and to make certain that we're not painting ourselves to a proverbial corner. If one if one board or committee can do this,
Well,
can every board and committee do this?
and that's you're making a very good point. And what we did, we said that because of the timeline on the ballot,
Okay,
that is a high priority and it has to be balanced against other high priorities that the county may have. And that's why the committee has to communicate and we have to have the process set up. And that's one of the things I hope that they were going to bring to us, whatever day that they were coming back. So that will be straightened out, but that is still a job that has to be done. So
Well, it has to be funded.
That's right, it has to be funded. And so we have to have the cost, we have to understand what they're asking and how it's going to be fit in, what current budgets are, or could be. And then we got to decide how to fund it. So, but that's why it's important for you to stay engaged.
understood.
To understand, they just can't come to you and you say, well, I don't know what to do. And then it comes into here blind. You have to be able to take a look at what options there are and why.
Okay.
If I may. Yeah, kind of in regards to that statement a second ago, that we come in here and get presented with something, we're kind of blindsided. I don't think that is necessarily the case either, because we all sit in and are part of that
Committee.
Justice Center Committee. And I was aware that videos were being made.
Yeah.
I think probably all three of us were.
Sure.
We probably didn't think about it at the time or where the funding was coming from, but I was totally aware that there were videos and ads being made.
Yeah, and I'd be in broader picture because it has to be done. And I'm glad you came in here to discuss the budget now.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Well, for clarification, we are not part of that committee. We do sit in on it.
Okay.
We're not on that committee. Never have been.
You're right. We do not make decisions in the committee. It has to come out of the committee and brought to us for me. That's the point.
Okay. Then my question is, where is my point of contact? Who You know, I joke that I have 8 bosses, every elected official and every department head, so I guess that's 13.
Well, by de facto, I am that's how we
Okay.
evolved.
All right.
To bring it to the commissioners
Okay.
or whatever. That's why
All right.
so come to me.
Okay. All right.
You and Reggie both, I think, PIO wise, and kind of have what are the needs, because it's easy for the committee to make broad statements. We know we have to do it. They got to have the priority, tell us what it is, and we can do it timely enough so that if there is a need, either we find the money or we don't do it.
Okay.
Well, I think that's the critical point, I guess I'm trying to, either
Yeah.
we find the money or budget for it, or we don't do it. And that's
Then go
not
on
been the
ballot.
case, correct?
That's right.
So that needs to stop.
That I'll take the blame for that.
And we've never created a budget for that committee.
No, we
They've
didn't.
never had a dime to spend.
Well, except they established for the grants that we've gotten in the past, and that committee was evolved to actually work those grants as we did it step by step.
I'm just saying, we haven't budgeted any money
Other than
for
that, Other than
committee
that,
to
that committee's
function
been operating with that money only. That's correct. Okay,
Okay.
so let's go forward.
Point on that as well then. He's got 13 bosses, so that, like you said, you addressed as far as the committee is concerned.
Then we need
You also have a sheriff's office, an OEM, a public health. You have a lot of these individuals that are also utilizing that at times. Does that all come through you, or do some of these
No, it would
departments
have to
have
be,
access
we have to
to it?
prioritize these before, but I'll bring it too, because I told them that a priority is, if it's a need, you gotta understand what that committee needs. That's a priority. And as far as fulfilling that, balancing it against the other priorities, that's up to us. And that would be me bringing it to the discussion. We have to do that.
Yeah, as long as we get it in here and have a discussion about it.
Right. So that's the key. I'm glad and that's a process that we should have straightened up a lot sooner. But that's the way it'll go. We've only got until the end of July, I think it is, what term in order, to get the words for the ballot. And in the end of August, what have they talked with me about, Kelly?
I need the wording by September, that
First one.
first Friday in September.
So if we're talking about a few weeks of effort here, that's going to be key. And then we'll have to balance against some emergency that comes up or some other department that needs help that might require this or money.
So what I'm hearing you say is that, to your point, the other departments and elected officials continue as normal, asking for help as normal with the IT department. When the committee comes, there's going to be a point of contact and direction from the committee, from you to me, or from you to our department.
Right, and we'll
Okay.
rally the
All right.
board here to
Okay.
hear the discussion, and figure out what
All right.
we think.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
First thing we have to do is decide whether or not we're going to put it on the ballot.
Can't do that until they get us the next step on their job, which was getting the options to get them the cost, and how we're gonna fund the money. Fund the initiative, if it to put on the ballot. How are we gonna fund the Justice Center has to be still outlined for us. We may not do it and do it next year or the year after.
Understood. Well, we live to serve in any way we can. The final
And
point I
thanks for
wanted to bring up.
bringing it up.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Well,
Yes. The last point I wanted to bring up, oh gosh, just slipped my mind.
okay, think on it.
Right. It's just popped in my head and slipped out. But we can do it next month. It's not important.
So another quick question, if I may, Mr. Chairman. I get the sense, and I'm going to guess, that there's not quite as much demand on your time over at the sheriff's office as there was when we were doing the 911 call center here.
Oh, no, it's dropped off considerably. They still need a lot of time and energy, but it's not nearly as high as it was when we had the 911 system. We are currently in the process of getting a new looking at a new phone system to replace that. Because their whole phone system was built around their 911 call center. And now that the 911 call center is there's a lot of issues that when we had the 911 system or when we had the 911 support, those issues were taken care of. Now long story short, we need a new phone system over there. So we're working towards that. But you are absolutely correct. The intensity level has dropped down since then.
Thank you.
No, I think a new phone system kind of is a good idea everywhere. I mean, it just is a problem.
We have okay.
Only because you call back, you don't get the office that called you because it goes to a recording and it goes, don't know who called you.
And I'd like to blame that on the actual telephone lines. Because we have what is called a trunk line going into this building, and it's data for telephones, and there is one number assigned to that.
It's a product of how we
of how the telephone
model this
systems.
building over time, and different lines are run in different places.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we could strip that down and completely change it, but it would be a lot of money.
To rewire the whole building,
Probably
or
so.
the building.
In the meantime, you call 4207.
I did create that auto attendant because of that. So, and I understand that's frustrating. But it's my voice at the best. What are you saying, sir? What are you saying?
So probably a little out of your purview here, but for lack of anybody else to ask, are you aware of how the lock situation is over there, since we're talking about the jail?
They're signing in the hall.
So he's gonna be, okay, I didn't see him on here.
That is not my
No,
purview.
but
He's got a budget request coming up.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'll ask him then, forgive me. So I knew it was out of your purview, but I thought you might have known, so.
Well, he knows it has to be rewired.
I do know that it has to be redone. It is archaic and needs to be replaced.
Fair enough.
Okay,
Okay, sir.
Anything else, sir, gentlemen?
thanks for the help.
I live to serve. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Be well.
Thank you much.
Come on in, Adrian.
Hello, sir.
Good morning.
How are you? I'm good.
Keep sitting back down. I guess I get my exercise this way,
And just standing
up and down.
You guys want a break?
No. Okay. So you figured out your computer, I understand?
Well, we did it like 9:10 this morning, but I'm just glad because that computer was isolated. We didn't lose as much as we thought we would have lost. So that would not have been a good scenario. So my report is going to be a little bit different.
Okay, speak up so everybody can hear you.
Okay, my report is going to be a little bit different.
Did we get a report?
You
I
are
don't
not
have-
going to get a report because I couldn't generate a report.
Okay.
But I
just wanted to make
will.
Sure I didn't miss something.
No, but I will update you guys
As
with
hard
a
copy.
written hard copy before the next meeting. So I have like 8 items in my report that I want to talk about. I think we all could be very happy that we are now at 140% of normal for Custer County. If you look at the state moisture maps, we're the one county in the state that has, we're drought free. So 140% of normal. Our moisture rainfall amounts have ranged from 34 to 40 inches of rain for the valley. And we have not had that much moisture for 2 decades, they tell me. So it's been a considerable amount of time. Our concern relative to rainfall, and you've seen a lot more flash flood alerts being issued. There were 2 alerts issued yesterday, 1 the day before, which we had significant rainfall, 2 to 3 inches came down in less than an hour. So that was pretty substantial for the valley. The main concern is that the ground is saturated.
right now. And so any moisture that we get will likely result in flash flooding or flooding in the lower valley area and flooding in the Wetmore drainage area. We did close County Road 387 for just 2 hours yesterday because a tree had come across that road. And so Gary and his crews got that cleaned up and they are working on it some more today. The second item, the quarterly reports are due for the EMPG and the HMP. I just want to say specific to the hazard mitigation plan revision grant that we will be looking at starting public meetings sometime the last week of July. And so when Mark gets back from his planned vacation, we're going to send out a doodle poll. And we want that first meeting to be a public meeting. And so there's a couple facilities here in town that I've reached out to see who can hold. And so kind of have a meeting and some snacks so that folks will come and participate and will get their inputs. We have over 45 agencies within Custer County who have expressed interest in participating. And these are public agencies in that hazard mitigation revision. The third thing is there's another federal agency that has received a grant, and I was notified of this last week. I could not print the email because that email was in the group of emails that was lost, but they are doing a statewide flood drainage mapping project. And so they will be doing that project at no cost to the county. This is being done by a federal agency, but they will be doing a flood mapping project here in Custer County. And that should start here. I think we're doing the doodle poll for that to see what dates are available. The 2 cities are involved in it, the Upper Arkansas Water Conservation Districts involved in it. All of the land trust agencies are involved in it, and all the federal and state agencies will be involved in that flood drainage mapping. And the purpose is not to dictate to the county what we should or shouldn't be doing, but to identify where the risks are and to propose mitigation for those high risk areas. And so that project hasn't begun, but it is.
Why are they doing it? Those have been mapped and the insurance companies are already charging people to build in a flood zone, but if they change the flood zones, that could be an impact.
Well, I guess the answer to your question would be the same answer why they are mapping for geological resources. It's something that the federal government does.
I can understand geological, but go ahead.
You said that's a federal agency. Which agency? I lost my email, so I'll have to get back to you that question. I'll get back to you with an answer on that question. So I can't tell you the name of the agency because I lost.
Yeah, no, I know things change and flood zones could change or go up or down. Just curious.
Yeah, so I'll get an answer for you on that one. I've already mentioned the public meetings. We have a young woman and her name is Kelsey, I'm going to say Franusic. She is a veterinarian student at Colorado State University, Fort Collins. In July and into August, she will be preparing for the county as part of her internship program. She'll be preparing as a ES11. ES11 is the emergency designation for, in this particular case, sheltering of pets and animals in an emergency. So what she is going to do is take the known information that we have, working with some of the ranchers who have participated in that in the past, and she'll be preparing a county plan so that in an emergency, whatever kind of emergency that it is, that we will have a sheltering plan for pets and livestock. And so she'll be working on that.
For all animals, basically.
Basically for our animals, including
owned by the
pets.
people.
Yeah, and so what she'll do is she'll look at the facilities that we have over at the fairgrounds. She'll look at the potential of using some of our areas out at the airport if necessary, depends where we set up a camp or incident command posts. But she's going to prepare a plan so that we have something in place for sheltering animals, livestock, and pets in an emergency. And so, and she'll be doing that also at no cost to the county. The sixth item is training. My schedule in August and September is centered around getting training and completing most of the required training for the position. I'll be in Denver on July 12th, which is this Monday, and that's going to be kind of a 2-for-1 thing. I'll be taking the EOC in a box trailer. The funding for that finally came through when the budget reset in July. And so we were finally approved funding to get the graphics put on in that trailer. So it'll be quite similar to what we have on the emergency service, the signage. It's graphics, but it's signage. I get you. And it'll be quite similar to what we have on our current pickup truck. It'll be similar, just larger. And that'll happen on Monday, July 12th. And on that day, because I'm in Denver, and we hope to bring it in the morning and pick it up and bring it back home that evening, I will be going to the state EOC, and they'll be giving me a tour of that facility in Centennial, Colorado. So that'll happen on Monday. The tabletop exercises that I mentioned last time that were scheduled for July 28th, and they're now scheduled for July 28th and August 25th. We moved those back 30 days because we felt we needed to do a better job of planning. The purpose of a tabletop exercise is to exercise a written plan. And so the one on the 28th will be a hazmat tabletop. We anticipate about 45 participants in that particular exercise. We'll start, we got together yesterday and we kind of redid the plan. Our South Region Emergency Manager, Christy Coleman, will take the lead in that. And the purpose of her taking the lead is so that I get the training so that we can put on these exercises the right way. And I'll be attending a couple of classes on how to do that. But that one on the 28th will be a hazmat tabletop exercise. We are working with one of our petroleum companies, Acorn Petroleum. They will be supplying a vehicle for us to be able to use in that particular exercise. And that will be predominantly a tabletop exercise. The one scheduled for August 25th will be a mass casualty exercise. It's titled "The Wheels on the Bus Go Upside Down." And that will be both
like a new song.
Well, it could be. I'll get my guitar if I need to. But that one will be both a tabletop exercise and an actual physical exercise where we actually deploy resources in the field to see how we do in terms of that exercise. The lead on both of these, well, one of the lead agencies, because of where they are located, will be State Patrol. And so the one on 28th, we wanted to see, because there will be a delay in a hazmat incident of getting a hazmat team. So we just want to make sure all of those things are kind of ironed out, that we practice it, and then we implement that plan should an incident arrive. So those are the 3 exercises that are coming up there. We've been supporting the U.S. Forest Service in their slash collection projects. And I want us to to start thinking about, and we talked about this last time, where we might gather slash for residents of the Wet Mountain Valley area. We've got the San Isabel area pretty much taken care of, but I would like to encourage us to have a central area, maybe in the Wetmore area, and someplace here in the Wet Mountain area where we could encourage people who do their fire mitigation clearances around their homes to have a place where they could bring debris, only debris, vegetative debris, and then we could do a large burning of that debris, annually, and use that as a training exercise for the fire agencies and for myself. And so we're thinking about that.
Kevin's got
Yes.
On that one, you have a burn boss.
I'll research. Matt is a qualified burn boss, so Wet Mountain Fire has burn bosses. We're going to reach out to Wetmore so that we have burn bosses qualified and trained. I'll re-up my certification so that I could do that if necessary, but I prefer to have the fire departments doing that instead of having me do that. So yes, we need to have a burn boss, and we will meet all of those requirements. And anytime we do burning, we'll have fire engines, on scene to make certain that.
I like the idea of having it be a training exercise to that.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity to train firefighters.
Yeah, and the reason I ask is because from my previous life, we did obtain forgiveness rather than permission on that one burn after one of the first floods, and but they did pretty much specify that the next time that we burned a sizable pile like that we would have a burn boss.
Yes.
And a plan submitted.
Yeah.
I think Lynn Langford is also certified.
Yeah, and then we have Joe from Division of Fire Prevention and Control. So we have folks who can certify, but those are great opportunities where you can get actual burn boss training and experience and exercising the plan. So thank you for that. But yes, we are most definitely going to make sure we comply with all the laws and regulations.
Well, I think Langford did some community / pile collection and burning down at his Greenleaf Forestry.
Yes, he did.
And then we've done some at the landfill.
We've
but
got
not
the landfill too, but I like the idea of having access and make it easy for a person to get in there.
Yeah. And
I also like the idea, it's more than just a burn boss learning that kind of stuff, but it's an emergency situation that you can tabletop something on. You got a fire going, what are you gonna do?
Okay. So we'll use them. Our goal is to reach out to every HOA in Custer County. And, we have 2 plans. We have a community wildfire preparedness plan that we could do. We also have the fire safe plan. One of the first, on the 24th, I'll be meeting with the Beckwith Homeowners Association. They're interested in doing fire mitigation out in that. I think there's probably 300 plus. There's probably more than that. There's probably about 1,400 acres in that. The interesting thing about the Beckwith proposal is that part of that HOA is in Fremont County and part of it is in Custer County. And what my counterpart in Fremont County has agreed to do, if they want to do a CWPP, and if they will lean to do a Firewise project, we want to merge those 2 projects together and have Fremont County provide some funding to help them write their plan. And then Custer County would do likewise and help them get started on that. And then we'll be able to use money in from both OEMs to support a project in that particular HOA. And so we're reaching out to all of the HOAs in the county. We encourage them to participate in the hazard mitigation planning process, because if they do not participate in that 5-year plan revision, they're not going to be eligible for federal funding.
and they participate, at least go through the process, express an interest, even if they're not ready to go right away. In a 5-year period, they'll likely be ready to go, and we can start getting these CWPPs written for them. And even if, once you develop a project, it becomes a template for developing other projects. And I've written a lot of these type proposals for vegetation management when I was with CAL FIRE, and so it won't be difficult. Yes, the HOA changes, but the rules for writing the plan don't really change that significantly. So it becomes kind of, I don't want to use the term boilerplate because every HOA is a little bit different, but it's something that we can do pretty easy. We'll be participating. I'll just pass that around. You may have seen that around town. It's just to reach out to the kids program, but I'll be taking the new EOC trailer there and just let the kids kind of see and talk to them about what emergency management is. But that's something I'll be doing on the 24th from about, I think it's 10 to 2. And then after that, I'll attend that homeowners meeting for Beckwith. So we got the tabletops, the CWPPs. San Carlos Ranger District. We already heard about computer issues, which are being resolved. I mentioned last time the LEPC conference in Breckenridge, the first week of September. So I'm still scheduled to participate in that. And the final thing I have is as part of the trailer purchase grant, I'll be ordering big screens and computer monitors and printers and plotters that will be part of that EOC in the box. So we'll actually start outfitting that so we have it ready to go. My goal is to have it fully functional by August 1st of this year. So we'll have that thing outfitted. And finally, I would like the BOC to consider in an emergency, we typically have used the fairgrounds. And then we've also have used the airport as a incident command post and an EOC. And so I would like to have some written direction as to how we want to orchestrate that in emergency. So before the emergency happens, we know, okay, we're going to use that facility if it's available. Are we going to use that facility? Use the fire department too. And we have used the fire department sometimes, but that can get congested. That really depends on the incident. I mean, we can use the Wetmore Center if it's down in that particular area, or the Wetmore Fire Station. We can use, the Wet Mountain Fire Station.
You have a recommendation, Adrian?
I will prepare you a recommendation.
In certain circumstances, this is what you propose.
Yeah, and then we also have an understanding with Lang Hall to use that facility. So we have some facilities, but I just would like to formalize that. And then I would also like to see, and I think this will be for Reggie's, so that the understanding is clear. In an emergency, when can we call upon her services so that if we need to get public news releases out, how's that going to work in terms of her compensation? Because she's a part-time employee and I don't want to abuse that. But there's been several opportunities in the last 4 days to be able to have her speak to the press, but because the alerts didn't go to where they were going to go, we've had some interviews that I've just dealt with instead of calling her in, and then we bounce it off each other.
Okay, so that's a good point. We need to discuss that at some point as well. So make some recommendations for us, because we've got to deal with other things. I think Reggie's time is thrown with other, as we're growing, we have growing things going on here. how we can use the resources we have and should, and the budgets matter. So, it might be something we step into as we budget this things in the future. We're coming up on a new budget year here. So.
Yeah, and I'm prepared to, through emergency management, to help cover some of her training. There's a couple of training classes that I've reached out to her so that she gets emergency management training. And so I'm willing to cover some of those aspects, but I think we need to, in fairness to her, I'll put together a proposal for that. And I believe that's all I have. Unless there's questions.
Thank you. Good deal.
All right.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Tom. You saw that one, and we'll put up another one later.
Come back, COVID's, we want to shake hands. Oh, wow. Just, we want to treat you the same as everybody, even though you are OEM.
All right. So you heard what I said on that, so we'll not together. You guys all take care.
Take care.
All right.
Thanks, Adrian.
Sheriff out there still?
Yeah, Shannon is here.
Hey, I'm willing to take a break if anybody needs it.
Yeah, of course, 5 minutes.
We're gonna take a quick 5-minute break, everybody, and we'll come back to begin the next phase. Be back here at 36 after. Okay, we're back in session after a brief recess. It's 47 or 30, yeah, 37 till the hour of 11. All right, we'll move on. Unfinished business. Anything from you, Tom?
No.
Kevin?
No.
None here either. All right, new business. Public comment is allowed on each item to be voted on as we're discussing it during that time. And also just a reminder, there's public comment at the end of the meeting. If somebody wants to make has a question or wants something to consider down the road, we'll open it up for the entire public. So moving on then, new business wise, our first man up apparently is here, and that would be the sheriff.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good to see you, Shannon.
Good to see you.
Afternoon, gentlemen.
Trying to get ready for the new budget.
Well, actually, no, this is a new budget item. So just quick background on this. So back last year, I want to say it was October timeframe, I had reached out to finance then and said, hey, listen, with all this COVID going on and all the overtime that I'm expending because, we didn't have the ability to just shut the doors like the county building did when we had some folks with COVID. We had to stay open. So in order to cover shifts, both on patrol and in detentions, when somebody came down with COVID, I had asked at that time finance if we could use some of the CARES Act money or for COVID relief to help to cover some of that overtime expenditures that I wouldn't normally have. And so at the time I was told no, that's not possible, that we weren't going to do that. And so
that was up front right after he got started.
It was, I want to say it was October, Bill. So I kind of asked why we couldn't do that I knew some other counties were doing it. And so it didn't happen. Let's just put it that way. So now that, the big push is done and we've gotten some of that money back, I wanted to come back to the commissioners. And I wanted to ask, because I know many other counties across the state, I've talked to other sheriffs, and they were saying they were absolutely being reimbursed some of their overtime and costs and losses for salary coverage, on overtime to help to mitigate their budget and their line items. And so I thought it'd be important to come and get that on the record and see if you guys would consider reimbursing back into my line item. I'm not looking to buy anything. I'm not looking to, this is just basically to replace the money that I spent on salaries and overtime during.
That's his report.
Yeah, so I sent an email out. So here's the challenge that we have, right? So our old finance system didn't track overtime and salaries individually. It was all lumped into salaries. So of course we've replaced that now with a better system that would be able to track that. But when I was told that we weren't going to do that, we were, so we didn't keep an individual. We weren't, just keeping a running log on that. So Vernon and Braden went back and helped, and they estimated that we lost about 770 hours to COVID between March of 2020 and June of 2021. That's the best that they can estimate, considering the system just wasn't. Yeah. So when we calculate that out, and if you just want to look at it and go from there, if you don't want me to read it, I mean, that's fine. I hate to read to you.
The bottom line is, you said you lost an estimated $14,245 to $15,005.
Yeah, so we're estimating because so mind you, right? I mean, I lost sergeants, deputies to COVID, and so depending on who I had to pay for overtime and who was out with COVID is the cost. So we generalize that, or we try to average out that the average salary was about this, and that's why there's the.
Okay. And then the other statement there is the $14,000 that you said is overtime. Is that included in that $14,000?
No. So we're going just off at 770 hours. This is what we calculate at, the loss in salary, and then another $4,000 in overtime, roughly. 3,500 or so in overtime to bring that to 18,000.
Okay.
The total ask is 18,000.
Total ask
18,000 of it was
Salary and
salary.
just salary,
and
the
then
loss.
It's on a
4,000
different
for the
mission,
jail.
basically.
Yeah, because they were gone.
Right.
And so then I had to pay.
So 14 is sheriff's office, 4,000.
Yeah, so the way it's calculated, right? So if Deputy A is gone and then Deputy B has to come in, well, they're getting paid overtime for all of that. So that's their salary plus their overtime. So the best we can calculate is their salary paying them was 14,000 and the overtime on top of that is another 3,500 total. If that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, so you're here to lay a gauntlet down on what needs to be refunded, basically.
Yeah, I'm
From
just
the new
making,
funds that are available, and so thanks for bringing it to our attention. Kevin, are you scratching or you got a
I'm
question?
scratching, but I also had a question for you then. Go ahead on and I'll catch it
Okay,
again here in a
so-
second. It went away.
So what I was gonna say is, we did receive money, you know, and we do have a process we're trying to put in place to go ahead and get whatever it takes to get a committee or a process that would establish and prioritize the requests that are coming in. And this, of course, would be one of them that we put in the pot.
sure.
I don't,
Yeah, I didn't expect an answer today. I know.
well, when they say consideration of the budget,
Yeah.
it's a discussion now as opposed to an actual vote to do it, just to make that.
Okay.
And then, so on your individuals that were sick and were gone, I'm assuming that they were paid their salaries under the COVID policy.
Yes, sir.
And none of that was.
To some point they were, and then they had to use sick and vacation time. Some others like Paula, who was out for, she's almost 9 weeks. So she had to use some vacation and sick time of her own as well because she'd been out so long with FMLA and stuff.
Okay.
So if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
So your intent would be to reimburse your budget for this 18,000?
Right. Yeah. So I'm not asking for
Employees
the
have
extra.
been paid.
They have.
Okay.
They have, but it's been out of my
Right.
budget line item.
Right.
And so that's
But
all
you're
I'm
not going to take
asking.
this 18,000 and pay your employees. You're going to take this
No.
and put it in back in.
Right.
Because you took your other
Yeah, because my
budget, and
budget's,
you used your
'cause
budget to pay it.
Right. Because I'm underwater. I mean, I'm
You
over
can't
budget.
buy the new sheriff's vehicle that you wanted to buy.
No. We're not buying
No, I'm
anything
teasing.
new. We're not buying any new equipment, anything like that. It's just rolling out of that COVID relief fund line item, whatever budget. Just roll that into my salary budget so that I can get back above water on it. That's it.
All right, just one quick question. It salary budget, or is it your general budget that you can move your salary in and out of that? That's up to you, right?
Yeah, but I want it for just for the salary budget line item.
Okay, that's fine.
That's
Wherever you want to put it.
That's where I want it to go because that's what we use
That's
it
where you're
for.
gonna put it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get money out of this just because there's money available.
No, but my point, Shannon, is that you have been given a budget as usual, and you allocate your budget
Yes.
to items that you see that are appropriate, and you manage it that way. So
Yes, sir.
And all you're asking for, you had to rob Peter to pay Paul to pay his overtime anyway. So I
Correct.
understand that you can put it wherever you want.
Yes, sir.
It's for because the salary made you short.
Yes, sir. That's it.
He's just telling us it's going to go back in his salary line.
Right, that's where you're gonna put it.
Yep.
Initially, that's fine.
One of my first thoughts on this American Rescue Plan fiscal recovery program was to get the county reimbursed for dollars that we spent. And it's been a pretty good chunk.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Unfortunately, part of that American Rescue Plan eligibility says that if you can demonstrate through the formula that U.S. Treasury come up with that we lost money, then no question. If we can't show that, then reimbursing salaries are going to be a little bit of a challenge. Would you agree with what you read, Kevin?
That is something that we would need to check into pretty closely to make sure that. it
However,
was copacetic.
a shining light at the end of the June 25th U.S. Treasury update I'll read it to you real quick. Because I think this is where we need to hang our hat. Now you watch, I won't be able to find it.
I'm thinking, and I saw that too, because I think that we can couch it because you did lose money by moving it out, that you couldn't execute whatever the other thing you were going to do. That's how we have to be able.
And if you need me to get some more detailed data, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm gonna lean on Braden and Vern to help me.
Right, but that's the next step. And as we mentioned before, we're gonna have a workshop to discuss that process and then come back in and same thing for all these requests. Tom, do go ahead, Rick.
Thank you. Which is what I was trying to say is in their June 25th update, you said you can, if you want to read it to him, that's fine, but eligible expenses related to public safety.
Yeah.
So that takes on a whole nother level. Additional staff and overtime pay recovery funds can be used to hire law enforcement officers or paying overtime. So I don't see that we're going to have a big hurdle to jump there.
With that wording, it makes it a lot better.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, I'll get you whatever information I can, or I'll work with Vern and Braden on any additional that you think you might, help with the documentation process.
yeah, I mean, eventually we'll have to have something on file if and when, and most likely when we get audited for those expenditures. But
yeah, okay.
I don't know what would be other than that.
And so just to clarify again on the question I asked, because you had COVID-related leave paid because of your individuals that were sick, is that part of this 14,000 or is that in addition to? So, because you had the expense of having to pay someone else overtime pay to come in, plus you paid the employee that was gone.
Correct.
And so that is part of this 14.
Yes.
14,000. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that that was in there or not.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to send you this email, Shannon.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So you'll have some of that language.
Yeah, that'll work. That was all. I don't want to take up any more of your time, but just wanted to chat about that.
Good.
Okay.
Thanks, Shannon. Thank you.
Thanks
Actually, it was a good spur for us to get busy. Thanks.
I was going to ask, how's your lock situation coming?
So we got it fixed.
Cool.
So luckily that was sealed up.
Good thing it was.
That's why I always close the lid, right? Because I do that. So the detention sergeant just we talked and we said, well, look, the lock doesn't work, so let's just disassemble the door and get to the locking mechanism. We got in there, we were able to pull the part number off there, went in online, was able to find the locking mechanism, ordered it, we got it there. We started messing. One of the individuals that are getting three hots and a cot in our jail helped us, and we had to solder some wires and do some different things and put it back together. And it's the first time that it's worked properly since I've been here.
Years, huh?
So it's working fine right now. So
it's all finding the right individual to work on them.
Saved that $98,000 that they were telling us it was going to cost to replace the whole system. So we should. So we're set.
Shaved it off for a while.
Yeah. So it's good, and we got a couple extras as well because we know, it's a mechanical item. But so they fixed it. I was pretty happy with it, as you can imagine.
Good.
Yes, we're good.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, thanks, guys.
All right, next up.
That's great.
Yeah, it is. Makes it better.
Makes those people's names and phone numbers.
That's right. Okay, next on the item on the agenda is the consideration of constitutional preservation county resolution that was introduced by James Gilbert 2 weeks ago. And it was presented at that meeting at that time. You say, Jim? Let's see you again.
See you come.
So what we did at that meeting was consider it. We looked at it. We had some issues with it. And we asked Jim to go back and, can I call you Jim or you James? I can't, we asked you that.
It doesn't matter.
Well, it does. James?
That's fine.
Okay.
I don't care.
No.
Hey, you.
To go back and clean it up, rewrite it. We told him some of our heartburn with it. And then he did correct the issues on what amendments or the things he was citing. So with that, I have my own thoughts, but I will ask you real quick, Jim, to say what you did change and what you did do before we.
Well, based on our discussion on June 1st, I believe it was, I removed a couple of the bullet points which may have affected aspects which weren't necessary to affect or were redundant. And as Commissioner Flower pointed out, the further resolution to confirm the election of Joe Biden was superfluous, of course it was. So
Did you take that out?
yeah.
Okay, 'cause
It's still in our version that we sent.
Okay, draft 3 is what I
Never saw
submitted.
that.
I never got a draft.
I sent you one. Oh, well, I have draft 3 right here, so
Make a copy.
let me,
Hold on a second.
Here, we'll get-
Let's get a copy of
Okay.
it first, Jim.
or I can go through.
I have a note on there to just change the date. I'm sorry, I thought I was sure I sent.
I looked. The second draft didn't look like it changed anything.
Well, no, the second draft is the draft you considered in the first place. The first draft
That's all I've got.
all I saw.
basically
You have
has
something
the
different?
first bullet point, and then the be it further resolved just talks about the 2021 elections participation and integrity. Nothing
Speak up,
about.
please.
No, I'm sorry. The first bullet is the same. The further resolved part just merely talks about the 2020 election participation and integrity.
Yeah, this is just draft 2. So.
Yeah, it's just 2 pages of draft. No problem. I got to send the file to Kelly if she has to do anything. I thought I did. I had a.
So was this attached to the agenda? Yes, I've got it here. I'm just wondering what the public has seen.
No, it was not.
Okay, so here we go. How many copies? Pass that, maybe. Pass that around. Okay, let me, and because it's not been out and we have not had a current copy, let me read what the current version is. Shortened it up, and I'm not going to read all of it. What he's proposing here is for the Board of Commissioners to consider Custer County as a constitutional preservation county. Therefore, Custer County affirms the basic right of democracy, the right to vote is how he couched this. So affirms the basic right, the right to vote. So he goes through whereases that cite the Constitution and a lot of the amendments. And then he points out in the Article 7 of the Colorado Constitution, so both state constitution, the national constitution, and as well as the fact that the Board of Commissioners took an oath to defend both. And then he says, whereas it is the desire of the board to declare its allegiance to the right to vote free from unwanted restrictions and suppression by design or de facto. And now therefore be it resolved. So up front, it was a statement of facts. We did swear oath to the Constitution, the commissioners did at both states. And we also, the Constitution, he cites where it affects the right to vote, which we all know. So that thereas be it resolved, the Board of County Commissioners for Custer County, that we on behalf of the citizens of Custer County pledge to stand and defend the right to vote for all American citizens against all attempts to infringe upon the exercise of that right, including but not limited to, and he's got 3 bullets.
Just one bullet.
Just one bullet. One bullet is the new version, is the enactment of laws, state or federal, that by design or de facto suppress or restrict the right to vote of any demographic group and the free and fair exercise of that right. So I'll read it again. Enactment of laws, state or federal, that by design or de facto suppress or restrict the right to vote of any demographic group and the free and fair exercise of that right. Okay, and the second bullet.
It's just the.
Oh, here it is. And be it further resolved, not a bullet. And be it further resolved that the board affirms the 2020 election as a historic participation of integrity, demonstrating the American election process is and remains the cornerstone of our democracy.
Not a democracy.
Okay, so, well, we've got time to comment here if we go through with it. So we're in the process, just giving you the facts of how I put it down. So what I did personally was after that meeting was look and reflect on what he was asking us to do. And to my simple mind, we have taken an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the state. To me, that includes all these things to ensure that right votes process being protected. So that's where I am. I'm just going to propose that I'll move that we accept this resolution for consideration. So I move to enact a resolution number 21 dash whatever it's going to be, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners for Custer County, Colorado, declaring that it is a constitutional preservation county. Custer County affirms the basic right of democracy, the right to vote, in order to have a discussion if it is seconded. So I move that motion. Make that. So I hear a second. Okay, hearing no second, then the motion fails for lack of second. Now, that's it. As far as I'm concerned, we can discuss other things that might be appropriate. And just as an aside, Jim, I think there are things that we've done in the past, maybe the affirmation for the need out, those kinds of things are something that the county can take a stand on. But when we're declaring something that is already our job,
You've done that twice before.
Regardless, I believe this is the case.
So
that's my position. It's not
right. So your position has changed from 2 earlier resolutions where
that's your interpretation.
No, it's not. It's your oath to defend the Constitution, but yet you passed a resolution to defend the First and Second Amendments. There's no difference prior to that.
We had that discussion.
There's no difference. So you're picking what you're going to.
Well, that's our job.
Make a resolution to defend versus what you're not.
That's our job.
I just want to make it very clear that you choose not to make a resolution to support these aspects of the Constitution.
We already have.
My point is you've reiterated it before.
Has there been a threat to this? Okay, thanks.
There's more discussion. We're done.
We're not done.
No.
I think we have a right to discuss all we want.
Right. That's what we did. And there was no motion. It wasn't seconded, but we can discuss why. Tom, you got any comments?
I do. Thank you. You're right, Jim. I have changed my position. I think, looking back, not with respect to this, I think it was a mistake for us to delve off into all of this hoopla in the first place. If it deals with this county, we should be concerned about it. We've already sworn an oath to uphold the Constitution. So I think certainly I made a mistake in supporting other resolutions that were brought to us. We've opened a can of worms, obviously, and now it's coming home to roost, and I'll take my fair share of that. You're right. I've changed my position. May not be fair, may not be right, but that's what I've chosen to do, and that's why I didn't second Commissioner Canada's motion.
Kevin?
We have laws on the books at the present time to preserve individuals' rights to vote.
Yes.
Those rights have not been threatened at this point, and if that does take place, then we have an opportunity to address that at that time. And that's my position.
May I comment to that?
I'll make my real statement. I didn't change my position. I think there are certain things, and we all, that's why there's three of us that can be out of bounds and may have been a threat. So that's irrespective of this. In this case, I agree that you cited many things that were really relevant that I tore up and down upholds, and I didn't see any reason to cloud the issue, especially with a political statement that says the election was historic. Well, it is. Everybody knows. So go ahead. You get the last.
I just wanted to comment on Commissioner Day's comment. The right to vote in the state of Colorado has been under threat. There's been two bills that have been brought forward, one in the House and one in the Senate. Fortunately for the state of Colorado, both were defeated. And they both threaten the right to vote.
Okay. Democracy work, republic.
Right, but my point is that those types of legislative proposals ought to be opposed by the leadership of this county. Right. Okay. Well, that's exactly what I expected, and thanks for the consideration.
Well, thank you for bringing it forward. Okay, next out of the simple name change. It's not simple, and this is going to be fun.
This is going to be fun. It's going to be simple because we get to look at pretty math.
Consideration of the road name change at Bella Vista subdivision. Just so for the record, every road in Bella Vista subdivision is named Bella something.
Bella Vista Drive, Bella Vista Trail, Bella Vista Way, Bella Vista Trace, and Bella Vista Drive.
So it's logical that they bring forward some reason to change the name in case there's an emergency and they wonder where they're going.
Right. So I'm bringing this forward for reason of public health and safety and welfare. So getting roof trusses and appliances delivered to wrong addresses is one thing, but when you experience a family emergency,
Delivering the ambulance in the wrong place.
Delivering the ambulance in the wrong place is not a good thing. So the homeowners have come together. You guys have copies of the proposed name changes and letters from the residents whose property is adjacent to these roads, saying that they approve of these road name changes.
Why don't you turn sideways so that everybody can hear you?
Okay.
That's a little easier if you can.
Yep, absolutely.
Put it in your laptop.
Turned up as high as I could get it.
I'm sorry. So we are proposing changing our road names because every road in our subdivision is Bella Vista, Bella Vista Trail, Bella Vista Way, Bella Vista Drive, Bella Vista Trace. And this has caused a lot of confusion with deliveries and things of that nature.
Oh, I got two questions.
Go ahead.
Let her get it.
So recently our family experienced a medical emergency. And so it's very important for the residents who live in Bella Vista now to make sure that it is clear what road is what. We've had a lot of, so we got together and those with the adjacent property to these roads came up with a road name that they would prefer, that doesn't say Bella Vista in the road name. And we are proposing those changes here, and the commissioners all have a copy of the map and a list of the road changes.
Law enforcement will appreciate you.
So
Okay, how many roads are we talking about? Just the
we're
4?
talking about the 4.
And I'll read it because that way you can hear.
Yep.
Bella Vista Trace to Cooper's Canyon Road, Bella Vista Drive to 7 Mile Ranch Road, Bella Vista Way to Painted Canyon Drive, and Bella Vista Trail Spur to North Arrow Trail. So those are the 4 changes, and there still is a Bella Vista Drive. Is there a Bella Vista
Yes,
something?
so Bella Vista Drive will stay the same. That's the main road you come into.
Okay.
Then it turns onto Bella Vista Trail. That will also stay the same. And the residents there will not change their address.
Okay.
But then there's a spur that comes off of Bella Vista Trail. It's highlighted at the bottom. So that will change. And then the other 3 roads that I've highlighted for you that come off
Branch off of Bella
Vista Drive
Drive.
and Trail to change.
Okay, that's the proposal.
Right. And if you approve it, then there's a resolution that you will need to sign, and Kelly and Clint are aware of the wording. You would need to have a resolution
Okay, so
with the name changes.
a quick comment, Tom.
Well, I've got some comments that won't be quick. Go ahead, I'll wait.
Wait,
I'll wait.
Kevin, you want anything quick before?
Quick question here then. So this one running northeast to southwest is Bella Vista Trail, coming from the bottom of lots 10 and 11.
So
down
this
into
is
6.
currently Bella Vista Trail. It's
Oh,
Bella
that's
Vista
Bella Vista
Trail
Trail.
to this apex, and then it becomes Bella Vista Trace,
Gotta be.
which is confusing because the road just changes
Is there
right
a
there.
sign there that says which road goes?
There's
where?
a sign there, but it is, in our experience recently, it doesn't matter. People still get lost. They still don't.
Okay, show me
They-
Bella Vista Trail.
Bella Vista Trail. So
The
here
one
is
that's
Bella
not changed.
Vista Drive comes
Or
to
drive,
here.
excuse me.
And then and then it becomes Bella Vista Trail here, and there's a sign, and it goes Bella Vista Trail to here. And then this is a little spur that comes off.
Okay. You have anything to clarify before we make a motion? All right. So we want a consideration of name changes in Bella Vista subdivision. So these are been presented as the name changes. So I have a motion.
I would like to make a comment before we get into
That's what I was.
motion.
So that's what I want. We can do it. We can have a discussion in that because I thought that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, a couple things. Number one, it's not a simple thing here. Number two, I'm not sure the county has the authority to do this. My research has indicated the county never signed off on this subdivision. And if that's the case, then we don't have any authority over it. I would like to refer this whole thing to Clint to do some more research on. I don't know how many landowners this involves. It looks like at least 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
You have your
10,
emails.
11,
It's 4 landowners that it affects.
Those are the only-
Because-
If I understand your,
Those are the only landowners on the 4 roads. There's only 4 of them. she said.
Right,
you're wanting
because
to change the ones in yellow?
yes, because there is a landowner that owns many parcels.
Right.
So
And
Clarification again. So everybody here,
affects 4 landowners.
it affects 4 landowners right now that would have to change their address.
If you consider Michael and I 2 landowners.
Well,
So
whatever.
there's 3
So
different families.
Let Tom finish his.
well, I think based on my research, based on what we've done in the past about road name changes, I'm not going to vote on it today. I'll just tell you that up front. It's way more complicated than coming in here and looking at some maps.
We did,
Every individual that would be impacted by these names has to be unanimous in their support of a name change, number one. That would be anybody that lives along the road or obviously is served by that road. So I would think everybody in this subdivision is going to have to agree to that. I'm not against a road name change, but it is a very complex, complicated, and long and far-reaching process. People are going to have to change their checkbook accounts. They're going to have to obviously go through the whole mailing thing. All the signs going to have to be changed. So do you have a homeowners association out there?
We do.
Okay.
And it has been sent to the homeowners association, and those that are affected did send an email with their approval of the name changes. And we thought that we were following all of the recommendations. We went to the different people in the county and they told us what the process was, and that's why I'm here before you today.
okay, any other one, Tom? I got it.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I will say, we have done this. We did it with the Rice subdivision, and they changed the name. So that's part of it. I'm sure you went to JD and all those other. What did Clint, you did talk with Clint?
I have not talked with
I
Clint.
thought
I've talked with Kelly, and she said that Clint would probably be the one to do the wording
Okay.
for the resolution.
Yeah, and we did the same thing when we considered the Rice requests. We had sent it back to the drawing board and make sure exactly what Tom was saying had occurred. And so any other comments, Kevin? We don't have to necessarily have a vote that we don't do. We can just
Right.
say we've got
Right.
information. It's
Right.
not ready for prime time.
I understand that. We are just here to forward the process in the proper manner
Okay.
and do it the way it should be done so that it's done appropriate. And we all do understand that this is a lengthy process. It's not something that happens overnight. There are many steps in the process.
We've got a lot of
So this is the first step.
Did you say we is Susie part of your thing or?
No,
Oh,
no, I'm the only one here from our
learned.
owners association.
She's studying.
I'm studying, I'm in school.
Yeah.
So that would be another, to your point, Tom, as to whether that is something for the commissioners to address as well, or if it is just through the homeowners association, if we are not a governing authority, so
Well,
to
I
speak.
don't know.
over
They
that.
brought it to us. That must have been a process when they brought the Rice thing, because that was a landowner, which is like had his own homeowners deal. He had 4 people already on the place, and they renamed them on his little subdivision before he sold it to main piece of that ranch. That's John Rice, if you remember the Rice family.
and I can't get this maximum on the county map, so I don't know what that's all about.
As long as the HOA, which is got a governing authority, they can decide to go do that. And bring it there. But you've got that. It sounds like you've got that certification from the homeowners.
Yes, the homeowners that are along Bella Vista Drive and the first part of Bella Vista Trail are happy to keep the road name the same. And so that part of the road is changing. Those of us who live off these spur roads would like to have those spurs, these side roads changed to something other than Bella Vista, because we're continually having issues with people saying our address don't exist.
So, and maybe.
And
part of
Google
your
Maps doesn't bring you
question-
there.
Some of your question to Clint might be, is it, to me, it would be the homeowners association agreeing and certainly coming to the commissioners to say, we're going to change some names and that kind of. Well, I know.
Am I going high enough?
Go ahead. I see you now.
In the past, this is how it's been done.
Mhm.
They, whoever wants to change the name, they have to go to all of the property owners, all of the that are along that road. Then they come to the commissioners approve it through a resolution. That's how it's been done.
Okay.
So here we are. So I'll do whatever we need to do moving forward.
I'd move forward.
Yeah, I spoke to Jackie about it. She's concerned that we don't have the authority to do this because she doesn't believe we signed off on this subdivision.
I don't know, but
So that's why I
somebody
said,
did.
well, that's
So what does that mean?
But
We
it's
don't
still
sign
being-
off on the subdivision. What does that mean?
that they either never, of
They were
course,
not
way
roads,
before
yeah.
our time, so.
Yeah, this is 2004, so.
I don't.
But that's, I told Jackie, well, that's an attorney thing.
That's right, because eventually the commissioners all, whether it was ever certified or not, if these are legal names, then somebody has the authority to change them. If that remains to be determined, it might be this board, it probably is. We don't know for sure.
Okay.
Get Clint.
Okay. Okay. So my next step is Clint. Yes, Jackie gave me a list of steps and I took those lists of steps and went to JD and that's how I ended up here.
Okay.
Yeah, JD said certainly it wasn't in his realm. I read his. No, I'm sorry, that was in reference to a separate request.
I think Clint's the step and then bring it down if he thinks it's the right thing to do.
Awesome. Do you need me to take the maps back? You guys want to hold on?
No, we can hang on to them. Or I will.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad I didn't scribble on mine.
You don't want yours.
Good job. Thank you for bringing it.
Okay.
I can probably acquire another copy.
I'll make a
You know, back in the old days, when traffic was less, we didn't have this much noise in this room, did we?
That's right.
Good news, bad news story. All right, continuing on, that was our last item. It's now time for additional items of business that came up, and I don't think there are any.
Can I ask a clarifying question pertaining to this?
Sure.
So the original, if I may, Reggie, the original Bella Vista Way into that subdivision, you're proposing that be changed to Painted Canyon Drive.
No, sir, that is actually not, this is not an entrance, which is another problem. This Google Maps, when people put it in, it comes up as this an entrance, not. The main entrance is down here, and this is Bella Vista Drive. So this is where everyone comes in, and all these homeowners, it will stay the same. When it gets to this apex, it turns into Bella Vista Trail. And it comes up here and then it spurs off again and it spurs off. I'm sorry,
Right.
here it makes
Yeah.
the track. So
Bella Vista Way, you're
Right.
proposing to change that.
to Painted Canyon, yeah. So this at this apex,
The main drive stays the same, and those people are not affected by this at all.
right?
The only people in it are affected are
So these highlighted yellow.
four
ones are
yellow
the ones
stripes.
that I want. Yeah, the 4 yellow stripes are this section of road that we want to change.
And that looks like it involves several plots. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So it doesn't affect number
10, 11.
9 because number 9 is on Bella Vista Trail. It affects 7 and 8,
Oh, all
which you
the-
have letters from.
Gotcha.
And it affects, one gentleman owns all of this and one gentleman owns this that affects this road.
So when you come back, point all that out on a piece of paper, you know, just bulletize it.
Yep, you got it right there
But-
on the top page.
So which
One gentleman on here, with lot,
Okay, what family?
lots 9, 10, 11 here, 6,
Okay.
7, 8, whatever
Okay.
they are.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah, it would be interesting to get their current addresses now. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So that we can cross-reference.
Got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
I can help you get all that.
Okay, great.
he's the cartographer, so
Yes.
have you talked to her at all yet? Okay.
I'm very well aware what you.
Okay.
Dublin Colony is doing a similar thing with the road naming. And a lot of their mission is 911 is just
Okay.
the response is to get to some of these places. It's not productive.
Just make it a little more concise. It's easier for us to understand and put in form of a vote.
Sure. Sure. Okay.
Which would be changing these road names to X.
Okay.
Yeah, my assumption was any lot adjacent to these yellow lines will be affected.
Right.
That's right.
That's correct.
And so you have the emails from those
That way,
people.
then you can put a
whose
name
lot it
and
is.
lots 10, 11, and 12.
Yep. So
That
you
way
want me to
we
take
know.
the emails and put that information on the cover
Sure.
page? Got it.
So how does sorry,
No, it's all right. Take your time.
the property owners out there, Bella Vista Ranches, how do they're not involved in any of this, they get to their property some of the way.
Bella Vista Ranches.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, everybody comes in on Bella Vista Drive. Everybody, every homeowner comes in on Bella Vista Drive, which is down here.
Okay.
And then Bella Vista Drive splits
I got that.
to all those roads.
Just asking about,
So one owner, this road, us two, only two of us on this one, and one owner has all of that.
so Bella Vista Ranches LLC must access their property somewhere else.
That's the only access is Bella Vista Drive.
Where's Bella Vista Ranches?
It's off Silver Circle. If you go Oak Creek grade to Silver Circle and turn
Yeah.
left, it's 1.1 miles down on the right.
Okay, so that's their address, so it's not gonna be affected by this yellow line. I think Tom's pointing out. It connects to an easement that's not really a road.
That's right. That's Rocky Ridge Road, but it's,
So that
you
wouldn't
can't
have anything
access
to
there.
do with males on this side. It's just, it's probably, so you
No.
point that out. I mean, it's not affecting this Rocky Ridge,
Right.
Silver Cliff Heights subdivision.
No, it doesn't affect that at all. That is not an entrance. That was originally when they started the subdivision, that was going to be the main entrance.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, it ended up not being.
So if Bella Vista Ranches LLC use Bella Vista Drive or Bella Vista Trace to get on their property, then it would impact them, right? That's my point. I'm just trying to figure out who would be impacted.
Well, we're not changing Bella Vista Drive.
Okay,
So the people that are, I'm sorry, I'm not understanding your question. So Bella Vista, no one on Bella Vista Drive is impacted.
So that would be lots 1, 3, 2, 4, and 5.
That's right.
And 14.
So
Oh, Bella Vista.
Bella Vista Drive comes in. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
And 14.
and 6. So it's 6, 9, and 14. That's actually Bella Vista Trail right there. And then Bella Vista Trail has a little spur down in the bottom. We want to change that little spur. It's like a Y, but it still stays the same name, which is what's so confusing to
Like
everyone.
the one that's not affected are 5, 4, 2, 1.
Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 isn't affected, 9 isn't affected.
It's 14. You said that was a Bella Vista Drive address.
Yes, so 14 is not affected.
Right.
So what is affected is your 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17. Those are all affected. And there you have an email from those residents, and 7 and 8 are affected. 8 is us, so you don't have an email from me, but 7 is our neighbor and you have an email from them.
And 6 and 9.
6 and 9 will stay Bella Vista Trail.
Right, so 6, 9, and 14. Oh, yeah.
Yes, 6, 9, and 14 will stay Bella Vista Trail.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 will stay Bella Vista Drive.
That's why you need to list it out like you did.
Yep.
It's easier to see at 99 when you see it. I
For
understand why.
your question, Tom, if I may.
Go ahead.
Where's your LLC located? That you were asking about?
it comes down to Bella Vista Trace.
Lots number,
So that's Clark. He is lots, all of
Where
these
is that?
lots, 11, 13. He's probably lot 13.
so he may have purchased them from,
He purchased them from.
Are you looking at the
original owner.
boundary that we can't see on here? You're looking at the county map. Which lots is that? So we know what you're talking about.
They don't identify it by lot numbers.
Well, you can, where on this map would you?
It appears
Map
It's
10, 11,
that it's
13.
between Bella Vista Trace and Bella Vista Drive.
That's right. 11 and 13.
That's what I'm looking for.
And that's,
okay, so yeah, 13 is definitely between them.
right. And so you have a letter in here from them.
Mhm. Yes, from your, where's your packet, Bill? Can I borrow it? So
I'd let you use mine, but I gave it.
that's right. So from Mr. Maxim, owner, he owns lots 4, 5, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, and 17.
And that is
That's this whole section,
Bella Vista Ranches LLC.
I'm sure.
That was part of my confusion. I thought Maxim was someone else, but, okay.
All
All right, thanks for clarifying that.
Yep,
Bring her back.
all right.
No, sir.
Think you're ready? Okay, public comment. Anything you want to bring up for us to think about? It's fine.
Yes, indeed.
Go ahead. Dallas.
This is mostly just a piece of information. Thank you for not considering that resolution. That thing was a come on, and I'll tell you why. Last July, I saw the outline to that resolution on Rose City Antifa website with the instructions on how to fancy it up for your own location. They were recommending to aim it towards small cities, small governments that were mostly Republican run. If you had signed off on that thing, you'd have been served very soon with lawsuits alleging your violation of oath of office. Because being an elected official, you know you're not allowed to vocalize or post a political stand on anything. And they'd have had you right there. So that's where that thing came from. I tried, when this thing first published, after he presented it, I went back to that website and it wasn't there anymore. So I can't prove it. You'll just have to, if you want to, believe in my truthfulness. But that's a problem. If I may,
Thanks for that comment. Next, you got another point?
I have another point on this Bella Vista thing. It's run by an HOA. None of the roads are county roads. And the county has no authority over the operation of that subdivision. Now, this is a little experience that I have from New Mexico. We were doing almost the same thing, renaming a subdivision out in the county. And the county attorney there came up with, to make a long story short, that the process was the HOA determined what their road names would be. The HOA attorney would take that to the initial filing of the subdivision and just run through the legalities of all that.
Okay.
Just that simple.
Thanks.
That's good.
Okay. Anything else?
I guess I'm done. Thank you.
Well, that's good. Thanks for your comments.
Thanks, Dallas.
It's on the record.
Okay, good.
Anybody else?
I was gonna ask
Name.
Susan Hinshaw.
Okay, Susan.
Can you just direct me on who to ask a few questions to, because you might not be able to.
Well, just ask the question.
For fundraising, which I have great experience in, it's best when you are able to accept credit cards, and I'm understanding that we cannot, that the sheriff's department, whoever is fundraising.
If somebody wanted to donate money to the county or the sheriff's department or any county agency, you're saying that you want what?
I would like to be able to accept credit cards, to accept donations. So to be specific, raising funds for a national night out, but it could be any event for anything. I was involved with the Colorado State Patrol Family Foundation. It took us a while to get people to understand how simple it is. Most people say, oh, I don't have a check, I don't have cash. And so the credit card is king, especially with younger people. So if they can donate $10, $20, it's just a really
That makes sense.
easy way.
I would suggest you talk to Braden, our finance guy, and see
Okay.
if there's a way to do it, or if you can come to us for whatever is needed.
Okay. And then my next question was, how would we figure out with new construction permits for residential building, what those anticipate? I mean, I guess this is probably an annual budget, but if there's permits being pulled for new construction, there's a lot of building going on. What is the anticipated revenue from those property taxes versus the growing pains? And is there a financial analysis or anything of that sort? Because a lot of the things that were discussed today had to do with, boy, do we spend the money? Do we not? Do we spend the money? And with this being such a massive year of growth.
You're proposing then some method that do we have to?
I'm just asking.
But, well, I'm just gonna phrase it. So we have a annual budget process we go through, and it starts October is in the timeframe we go through.
Okay.
A week's excruciating week of each department proposing what they need to operate. And it's against a proposed budget that we might expect. And that's, again, is the HR the finance office's job is take that and propose a budget that each department looks at and says that's enough or that's not enough. And then we consider whether we're going to take more or less and do that. You're proposing maybe a tool that we could look at if they looked at a forecast. We know what permits there are, and Jackie has that, and whether they're building and what the projected timelines are. We could, instead of betting on the come, have a little more than just a bet.
Helps.
That's what you're proposing.
Yes. Well, I already remember. I just wondered if it was available. It's, okay.
But you need to talk to Braden again if he wanted to consider something for us, as he builds the budget for us to consider. That might be a good idea.
Okay. And then the other question was, in regards to the American Rescue Plan with COVID and what the sheriff talked about, if without the June 25th update, and then you guys are going to meet and talk about, you know, requesting money for that. If there's more COVID cases, is this a one shot, one kill, here's your money? Or if there's more people within the department that come down with COVID, would that still be up for consideration from that
I
pot of
think
money?
the question that Kevin's, I think that's some info that we found
On this initial request, it would be for monies already expended. So if there was a future event, that would need to be addressed again at that time.
And that was what I was wondering is, are they expecting it to all be shut down and done, or is this kind of a fluid thing?
This initial one that Kevin's talking about is, they have a timeline.
Okay.
I guess it would depend if you're talking about the American Rescue Plan funding program or you're talking about Sheriff Byerly's request.
I'm talking about the American
One and done, $980,000.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay.
Yeah.
Never know what's.
Well, and the reason why that was important to me was, you know, just because it's a one and done, COVID might, people are still getting
Could be,
COVID.
but there could always be another emergency. I mean, that's just
Okay,
fact
okay,
life.
okay. Okay, my questions were good.
Yeah, I mean, Congress could.
So I give us all kinds of money like they're trying
Right
to do.
now, that's it. We've been given our allocation and that's it.
That's all I have.
That's a good question.
Definitely depend on what we find from Washington.
Yeah,
Right.
but I think she's asking the here and now. We've gotten our allocation, we've
Yeah, and
gotten half of it
there's no more coming.
deposited, but we'll get the other half and then that's it.
Okay. Any other public comments? Anything online?
No.
Anybody online?
Yes, we have, actually, no, just all internal.
Okay, good. All right. Anybody else going once, twice? Have a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Moving second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Kevin.
Aye.
Aye.
Canned aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.